Welcome to tonight's Tanya class. We are studying Tanya. We're in the fourth section of Tanya called Igeret Hakodesh, the holy letters, and we're holding letter number 9, chapter 9. And as I always say, that in Tanya, every single chapter is a foundation of mysticism. So each one is independent, so to speak, and it's complete, but you learn really powerful ideas of mysticism in each chapter. So tonight, in chapter 9 of Igeret HaKodesh, the Alter Rebbe is going to teach us how to really open our eyes and see God. Who wants to open their eyes and see God? Wouldn't we want to open our eyes and see God?
Sure.
Because what happens is, the Alter Rebbe is teaching us, A, how do you open your eyes and see God? And when you're able to open your eyes and see God, you'll have such a easy time doing what God wants, whether it's prayer, Torah study, and more importantly, in this case, in this chapter, the Alter Rebbe is going to focus on charity. How important it is to give charity, but the right way to give charity. Because there's a right way to give charity, and then there is the way when you give charity, the way the Alter Rebbe teaches you here, which is the right way, you'll give it with an open heart, and you'll be able to give it constantly, and it'll have a real connection with God, and that's the reason why we're giving charity. So here we're going to learn how to open our eyes and see God, and obviously, therefore, if we do that, we'll be able to give charity freely to everyone, and especially if take care of your family in a godly way, and so on and so forth. Okay. So the first of the Alter Rebbe starts off, and he teaches us something very, very powerful, and that is as follows. We know there's a term in Hebrew called hevel, or hevel havalim. Hevel havalim comes from the idea that it's something that's naught or nothing. So for example, there are certain things that are something, and there are certain things which are nothing. So what's considered, for example, a something? Now, to everyone is a little different, what's really a something. But what's really a something? What's a something? Something of value, real value. Anybody? Real value.
Love. Close to God.
Huh? Love is a real value, okay. Close to God is a real value, okay.
Family.
Huh?
Relationships.
Relationships, okay. Life, okay. So they're all correct answers, but if you go to the core of something that's a something, what's the only thing that really exists?
God.
God. God is the only thing that really exists. Your family is a part of God. Love is a part of God, and so on. But ultimately, if you get to the heart of anything, what's really a something that's the real yesh, or in the terms of Kabbalah, the yesh hamiti, the real, the true something is God. Now, what is this materialistic whole world that we're living in? And the materialistic world is everything. It could be houses, cars, tables, chairs, anything materialistic in this world. So the Alter Rebbe says that anything materialistic in this world goes under the classification of hevel, or possibly hevel avalim. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. Nothing. Whoa. So then the question is, why did God create it? If it's nothing, why did God create it? And if we said everything is a part of God, so then why are you calling it a nothing? Because God created a bunch of nothings? To do what? So we should be busy with nothing? Should be busy with nothing? What does it mean God created a bunch of nothings? So the Alter explains, and this is a very powerful insight, and this will hopefully be a good paradigm shift into everything you do in life, and that's as follows. That materialism, yes, is hevel, is nothing. Except, there's one exception. Unless it has a higher purpose. So when you attach a higher purpose to a nothing, it goes out from being a nothing to being a something. So for example, if you take a piece of wood, it's nothing. But if you take the piece of wood and you carve it out and you make a table, and now on the table we sit and we put our books down and we study, so now this table went from being a nothing to a something, because it has a higher purpose. Take a chair, take a house, take anything physical in this world. It's really a nothing, but if you create a higher purpose to it, it has value. Even a human being, if you do nothing, guess what? You did nothing. But if you are doing something which has a higher purpose, you're making God's presence in the world felt in a real way. So you turned yourself from being into nothing to being into something. Something is the definition. As long as you're doing something for a higher purpose, it becomes a something. So you can take anything in this world, magic. You can be like the biggest magician around. You want to see me turn something into nothing? Or nothing into a something? It could go both ways, by the way. If you take away something's higher purpose from something, you took something which had a higher purpose, you took away the higher purpose, you turn it into nothing. And vice versa. If you take something which has no higher purpose, and you give it a higher purpose, it becomes a something. So we have the power to create some things by giving it a higher purpose. We have the power, unfortunately, to creating nothings by taking away the higher purpose. So think about even in education, if you take a child, your child, if you're teaching a class, and you inspire people and you show people how they can make a difference in the world, you've made a real something out of them. You've given them a higher purpose. Or, and God forbid, I don't want to say this, but you tell someone, hey, you can't make an impact in the world, you take away their power and their thinking they could, you turn them into a nothing. So the biggest gift you can give yourself, or anyone else, or anything else, is give it a higher purpose. Once you give it a higher purpose, you will have taken a hevel, a nothing, and turned it into a something. Now, God made us with a godly soul and a physical body. Now, what did we say before? Who is a something? What is a something? God, and a higher purpose. What's interesting is our body, our guf, our body, our nefesh, our animal soul, has a different terminology, a different description, what's a something and what's a nothing. Our animal soul, our body says, what's a something? Stuff.
Yeah.
Things. Places. Anything that makes me feel good and fills my time. Materialism becomes a something. So now you have a big conflict. We just created a stage of a war. And this war happens, guess when? Every single second of our life. The godly soul says, guess what? I want to live my life with a higher purpose. That means everything I do from the morning till at night, all throughout the week, all throughout the month, all throughout the year, I want it to have a higher purpose. This way, I will be creating real value, real something, a godly connection. The animal soul says, what do I want? Anything that makes me feel good. And here you have the godly soul, the animal soul, living in the same body. It's like having two drivers in one car, and they both want to drive. So it depends who's driving. If the teenager's driving, it's going to be a nice bumpy ride and a wild ride. And if, let's say, an older person, 90 years old, is driving, you're going to be going maybe 5 miles per hour. And he feels good. It's calm, it's slow, right? Not bumpy. Very, you get to see a lot for a long period of time. So what happens now is, when the animal soul or the body starts engaging in the world without a higher purpose, how does the godly soul feel? How does it feel? It doesn't feel so great. So what do you do when you don't feel great? You know what the godly soul does? When you start engaging in the materialistic world without a higher purpose, and the godly soul is not excited about it, what is he going to do? He's going to fight with you? He lost. He is not driving the car now. So and godly soul doesn't fight. So you know what he does? He goes to sleep. What do you do when you go to sleep? You close your eyes. You close your eyes. So he basically closes his eyes. He makes believe. He doesn't hear. He doesn't see. Tries to numb himself. He goes to sleep. Now, so that is the vision of a human being. When the godly soul is proactive and he's creating a higher purpose, his eyes are wide open. If the animal soul, the body, is running the show, the godly soul is there because it can't run away. It's in the body. But what it does is it closes its eyes. So here the Alter Rebbe teaches us and he inspires us that guess what? If you close your eyes, you know what happens when you close your eyes? You're seeing nothing. The soul's eyes. And who's running your life? Your animal soul. Your body. And what are you involved with? You're involved with nothing. So Alter Rebbe says, don't allow yourself to go to sleep, and don't feel like you're a loser and a failure, that you can't open your eyes. Open your eyes. But what do you mean? We're busy with materialism. So the Alter Rebbe says, I'm going to teach you something. Guess what? In every single thing that the body is doing and the animal soul is doing, we're not doing forbidden stuff. Enjoying a nice, beautiful dinner, or going out to a park, or going for a ride or a vacation. So one hand, the Gali says, hey, where's the higher purpose? Comes along the Alter Rebbe says, open up your eyes. Get yourself to work. Put yourself to work. Start digging. Start looking for the godliness in everything in the world. So when you're eating dinner, you can say, it's just food. It has no purpose. That's what one can say if you look at the external part. But if you look deep down, there's a godly spark in that food that we are elevating when we eat it. Or if you're going to the park and you just want to chill out, and you start looking at all these wonderful things that God created, and you recognize that God created it and how beautiful it is, you know what happens now? Now it becomes a godly experience. So it comes along the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe says that we should look at the godliness in everything. We should look at the godliness in everything. What does that mean practically? The Alter Rebbe gives a very practical example. We are living in a world that the way the world works is, in order to survive the world, or more importantly, even to thrive in the world, you have to work. Everyone has to have a job. You have to have a job. You have to go out. You got to do something. Now, when a person has a job, why are you working? On a external level, why are you working?
To save for money.
You're working because you want the paycheck at the end of the week. Or if you're a hustler and a businessman, you want to make the deal. You want to get the profit at the end of the deal. So a person works either for the paycheck if you're an employee.
To make us happy.
To make you happy. Money makes you happy. I get it.
Not only money, but the
I get it. I get it. Or you're doing it because you want to close a deal and walk away with a profit. So that's one reason why a person working. Now, on the other reason why you're working so you can earn the money, but not because you just need the money. The money has no value. We said the money is nothing. But the money gives you the power that you can support your family and you can do great things for the community. We do great things for the community, and here the Alter Rebbe teaches us a very powerful lesson. There's a verse that says like this: Mi ka'amch Yisrael, who is as great as the Jewish people, and it says Goy Echad, and one nation, Ba'aretz in the land. What does Aretz mean? Aretz means the land, physical land. But what does the verse say? Goy Echad, one in the land. What is the Alter Rebbe teaching us? That we should look for in the Arziyos, in the materialism of the land, whether it's in the job, whether it's in the street, wherever we are, we should always be looking for the Echad. What is the ultimate Echad? What's Echad mean? One. What is the ultimate of oneness? Hashem. So we should be always looking for the oneness, for Hashem in everything in this world. Now, when a person's doing that, now it creates meaning and purpose, and it creates a higher purpose in everything you're doing. So this way, when you're out working, you're not just working because you want the paycheck at the end of the week or to make the profit of the deal. You're working because you want to find God and godliness in the materialistic world. And when we look for God and godliness in the materialistic world, guess what happens? Our whole day becomes filled with a higher purpose. So the Alter Rebbe says the godly soul doesn't have to close his eyes. On the contrary, keep it opened. And look, you'll find God in here and God in there. Hashgacha pratis, you'll find divine providence in everything. But you have to look. And the Alter Rebbe gives a interesting example. He says like this: we all pray 3 times a day. We all know the highlight of the prayer service. You know, there's the blessings we say, there's the sacrifices we say in the morning, there's the Psuki de Zimra, the praise for God, there's the blessing before the Shema, and then what happens is the highlight of the prayer service is one verse, which is literally like the peak of the mountain of a prayer service. What's that verse?
Shema.
Very good. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Very good. What is that saying? Hear, O Israel, the infinite part of God, Hashem, Elokeinu, the finite part of God, Hashem, again, back to the infinite, it's Echad, it's all one. It means infinite, finite. It's all part of the oneness of God. Now, let's take it a step further. When we say echad, what do we have to meditate? Echad is made up of 3 letters: Aleph, Ches, and Dalet. Aleph resembles what? The oneness of God. That is Ches, found in all the 7 heavens plus the earth. That means when we meditate the fact that God is in the 7 heavens and the earth. And Dalet means He's on all 4 corners of the world. So as we meditate about God and the greatness of God, we're meditating this infinite God is all over and in everything. Now, when we say Shema, we have to have, in Hebrew it's called kavanah, in English it's called meditation, concentration. We have to think about the words. Matter of fact, the whole prayer service, you should also understand what you're saying and think about a little what you're saying. You should have kavanah. But the Jewish law is, in the one line of Shema, if you did not think what you were saying, you just read it, I said, what did you read? Oh, I just read it. You have to go back and read it again. Shema, you have to meditate. Now, generally speaking, when you meditate, why do some people meditate? You know when people meditate? They go into like a trance. What happens? They basically close their eyes. As a matter of fact, the Shema, you're supposed to close your eyes because you don't want any distractions. Why do you close your eyes? You don't want distractions? Because what happens is if you're praying, right, and your eyes are opened, and you're looking around, so what do you see? You see people, you see stuff, etc. So you get distracted in physical things. What happens when you close your eyes? What do you see? Nothing. Which really you're seeing, and now you're seeing nothing, and when you're seeing nothing, you're saying Hashem is one, 7 heavens, the earth, all over the place. What is your mind now seeing? What's the only thing you're seeing? God. Try it. Close your eyes. Think about Echad, the one God, in 7 heavens and the earth, and all 4 corners of the earth. What are you seeing and feeling God? Wow. Now, when you're saying that and feeling that everything is really God, do you feel it? Yes. Do you believe it? Yes. You even see it. You see it. Now, if you were able to keep your eyes closed for the rest of the day. Now, besides the fact that you're bumping into walls, and if you're driving, you probably have a few accidents, but if you were able to close your eyes throughout your day, don't try this and say, the rabbi told me, I'm sorry, I bumped into you, right? But let's say if you were able to close your eyes conceptually the rest of the day, and you're thinking about the oneness of God, and everything you did, you were just thinking about the oneness of God. Guess what? Would you feel God throughout your day? Yeah. Absolutely. But what happens right after we say Shema Yisrael Shem Elokeinu Echad? What do? We open our eyes. What is the minute we open our eyes? We see this, we see that, we see him, we see her, we see, right? Hello, what happened? The problem was we went from literally visualizing God and everything, and now we're getting distracted by stuff. But if we're able to see God and everything, guess what? If you're able to remain that concentration, how would you treat everybody? Godly. If everyone is a part of God and everything is a part of God, and everything you see and feel to be a part of God, you would have such a beautiful, dynamic, spiritual, godly, lovely, warm relationship with anything and everything. The problem is we open our eyes. So the Alter Rebbe is saying, even when your eyes are open, try to remember the ideas that your eyes were closed. Now, this way, what happens if you keep your eyes closed on a spiritual level? When it comes to giving charity, someone needs help. Would you have a hard time helping? So it depends. If your eyes are opened and you size the person up, however you size them up, and you start making decisions, should I give, shouldn't I give, you're going to have a hard time helping. But if your eyes are closed, conceptually, and what do you see? You don't see a godly human being that needs help, needs support. It could be financial, emotional, whatever, there's some physical, any support they need. Guess what? Is there a question you're going to help them? Mm-hmm. No. If you're in that spiritual state, guess what? You're going to help with an open heart. Why? Because when you're connecting to God, you're going to want to behave like God. How does God behave? Think about it. Every single second of the day, God creates and recreates the world. It means if God was not acting in a chesed way to create and recreate the world, would we be here? We wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be here. So God is, what is God doing every second? He's giving.
And giving.
He's creating, He's giving. Is He judging? No, because if He was judging, guess what? We wouldn't be. So now, if God is acting in a loving, kind way, shouldn't we that we're connecting to God and we're part of God and we're connecting to God, shouldn't we be behaving that way?
Yes.
So therefore, if we really put ourselves mentally and spiritually on that level, how are we going to treat another human being that needs help?
In a loving, kind way.
Loving, kind way. So comes along, Alter Rebbe says, 1 second. Based on that, if I got you to this great place, you're ready to help the whole world.
Yes.
You help ready? Why not? What do you mean, why not? Everything's a part of God. I see the God and godliness and everything. I'm ready to help anything and everything. So now they have to ask a simple question. So if that's the case, based on this, is there a difference between your family and anyone else?
No.
There's no difference. So in theory, you should, based on this so far, you should help family, non-family alike.
We're all family.
We're all family. But comes along the Alter Rebbe and he says, you have to remember that the Torah instructs us, Torah gives us a specific instruction, and he says that Jewish law is, it's not my opinion, God says, that when it comes to helping family, your wife, your spouse, your children come first. So them you have to help first and then everyone else. So in theory, from a spiritual perspective, once you see the God and godliness and you want to behave like God, you're helping everybody. And in theory, there's no difference between family and anyone else. Correct. But comes along Jewish law, and Jewish law says no, family comes first. And again, we know the Jewish law has different levels. Poor people from your city, a different city. Again, that's because Jewish law dictates that. And the only reason why you're willing to make all these distinctions, because the Torah tells us to make these distinctions. We didn't create distinctions. It's not like a human being came and said, okay, this person more, this person less. A Jew asked a simple question: what does God want me to do? How does God want me to behave in this case? I have X amount to give to charity. Hey, what does God say? How do I do it? So it's not like I take care of myself and I'm going to take care of everyone else. No, your needs are my needs as well, because we're all part of the same God.
Because we're all one.
So here the Alter takes an interesting twist, and he says as follows: that we all know that we're living today in special times. What are the special times now? We're living now in the time which is called Ikvis of the Mashiach. It's the times before the Messiah coming. Notice there was a time when God created the world, and we had the patriarchs and the matriarchs and the tribes and the Jewish people in Egypt, and they went to Israel, and then we went out of Israel, we were exiled. The first temple was built, the second temple was built, but now we are standing on the threshold right before the Messiah is coming. So the Alter Rebbe says like this: there was a period in history that the main thrust, for example, let's say, was going to Israel. And it still is a thrust. We're not discounting, that was the main thing. At one period in history, the main thing was studying Torah. And again, we should still study Torah. No one's diminishing. We're just saying what's the main focal point. But the Alter Rebbe says we are living today in a time we are in exile. And someone that's in exile spiritually, what do you want to be? You want to be out of exile, you want to have the Gula, you want to be free, you want the Messiah to come. So we all want to be redeemed from our challenges and our suffering and everything that we're going through. So it comes along after when he quotes the verse that says from the Rambam, he quotes from the Rambam writes that, and this is halacha, this is Jewish law, Ein Yisrael Nigalin Ela B'Tzedakah. The Jewish people will be redeemed only through charity. So therefore the Alter Rebbe says, even though in the past it was a different maybe type of service, but today our avoda is to give charity. Charity means helping people, whether it's money, whether it's time, whatever it may be, whatever goes in the category of charity. Today our avoda is to give charity, and the Alter explains it based on we know that it says that, and we say it in the Grace After Meals. It says that today that Nafla Sukas David. The sukkah, the canopy of David, fell down. So what does that mean? We say it a lot in the prayers, right? In the Grace of the Meals, that sukkah David fell down. What does it mean the canopy of David fell down? So the Alter explains it Kabbalistically. It's very powerful. What is David? What is David? Who was David? So David was King David. Now we know King David worked on himself. He was a king, of the Jewish people, and he worked himself very, very much to be close to God. And he fasted, and he did a tremendous work on himself to become close to God. And he was actually one of the kings. So it says that King David reached a level, spiritually, we know that there's 4 worlds. Atzilut, which is closest to God. Bria, the world of creation. Yitzira, the world of formation. And Asiya, the world of action. I'm not talking higher and lower, we're talking spiritually. In each world, you have the 10 sefirot, starting from Chesed, Gur, Tiferet, well, starting with Chachma, the intellect, Chachma being Das, the emotions, Chesed, Gur, Tiferet, Netzchot, Yisod, Malchus. All the 10 sefirot in each world. So the Alter Rebbe says that King David was in the level of what? Of Malchut, of which world? Of Atzilut. He was the king, but on the level of Atzilut where he was so close to God. That's what King David worked for himself. Now, so the Alter Rebbe says that since, unfortunately, so King David has created this beautiful canopy of what? Malchus of Atzilut. If you came close to King David, you were able to feel the kingdom of what? That there was God on the world. You know, King David, he didn't go out to war without asking the prophets, and he basically resembled someone that was totally connected to God. Obviously, he was a human being, and he had his, you know, if you read the prophets, you'll read about different challenges he had in his life. But the thrust and the energy you felt by King David was, he was in the kingdom of the highest level of Atzilut. But so that was his canopy. So the Sukkos David, the canopy of King David, means which referring to Malchus Atzilut. That was King David's canopy. That's how you felt in his presence. So it says Nafla. Oh my gosh, it fell down. Where did it fall? Where did it fall? And the answer is fell down through Bria, Yitzira, and something falls. It falls to the floor to Asiya. So this canopy of Malchus Atzilut, which is in a high level, fell down to where? Asiya. The lowest level. Now, in the lowest level, so what does that mean? What does that mean? That God, this infinite God, that was like all the way up there, came down to this physical world. So if you're looking for God, where are you going to look for Him? Up there? I mean, God's all over, but if you're looking for God, where are you going to look for Him? Up in Malchus Atzilut? No, He's down here. The more down you go, the more coarse you go, the more where God is not present, that's where you're going to find Him. So, in other words, if you're praying and meditating a whole day, that's great. But guess what? You're not going to find God there. If you're studying Torah and doing all the mitzvot, that's great. That's wonderful. You should do it because the Torah says so. But you're not going to find the God that's down here. Where are you going to find God? You're going to find God in the lowest of places.
Where you're ready to be redeemed.
You're going to find God in places where people are struggling. You're going to find God in places where people are going through different challenges in life. And people are yearning and searching. When you feel close to God, that's great. But you're not going to find God there. You know where you're going to find God? Where people are struggling and people are challenging and people want more. And people aren't satiated. That's where you're going to find God. So comes along, the Alter Rebbe says, very simple, where is the greatest struggle? Where is the greatest struggle? Think about it. Somebody that's in need of help, someone that needs help, it could be physical, emotional, spiritual, any level. Someone that's like suffering, they have nothing. Notice, what's a rich man and a poor man? A rich man has everything. By a rich man, you're not going to find God. Where are you going to find God? By a poor person. By someone that's destitute. And again, destitute doesn't only mean money. Someone that's struggling spiritually. They feel like they're totally devoid and empty and they have no relationship with God. Guess what? That's where you're going to find God. When you reach out, as so to speak, the rich person that has, and you help someone that doesn't have, guess what? It's exactly where you're going to find God. In other words, because what happens like this. When someone's suffering and someone's going through a challenge and you feel like you're above it, do you want to help them? No, I'm above it. I don't need them. Your evil inclination tells you, I'm better than them. What do they know? But the Torah says, no. When you're able to overcome your evil inclination and reach out to someone in need, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and you're able to go help them, guess what you're going to see? You're going to see God. You're going to see God. And not only are you going to see God, you're going to experience God on the deepest level. And as when you study Torah, so you're studying God's Torah. So how are you connecting to God? Through your brain. When you're doing a mitzvah, how you connecting to God? By whatever physical limbs and organs of your body, you're doing the mitzvah. But when you go to somebody that's really in trouble, on the lowest level, and you're there for them, and you help them, so you're helping the what? The physical person? You're helping the godly spark that's lost. You will get to merit to see eye to eye with God. And the Alter Rebbe brings a verse that says that you'll be able to see ayin ba'ayin, which means like this. On the infinite level, on the most powerful level, is God revealed? God's revealed. On this world, God's not revealed. And the lower you go, that's the more God's concealed. So the Alter Rebbe says, you will see ayin ba'ayin means the same way in the infinite worlds God is totally revealed. When you get down to the lowest level and you reach out to someone that's really in trouble and really in need, you will get to see the same way it's seen above. Wow. And this connection, Alter Rebbe says, is much greater than a connection of intellect or understanding. Because intellect and understanding is just, you hear something, you understand it, you comprehend it. Here you're actually seeing God and godliness. So in other words, what is the Alter Rebbe teaching on this in this chapter? It's a very powerful chapter, chapter 9. He's teaching us how we can open our eyes, literally, and see God. And it's very simple. You want to open your eyes and see God? Don't look for Him in high places. Doesn't mean you should still study Him, pray, and do mitzvah 100%. But try to do charity, and charity where it's needed the most, and maybe specifically where your animal soul tells you that it's not needed. No, that's where it's needed. When your animal soul says, they're such losers and let's give up on them. That's when the Torah tells us, guess what? Help somebody where everyone's giving up on them. Help someone that really needs help the most. Help someone that's out and destitute. That's the ability to open your eyes and see God in everything, and you will merit to see the greatest revelation of God. And I think it's really a big gift, because guess what? The Alter was teaching you how you can literally open your eyes and literally see God on the highest levels, on the same level the way God's revealed in the infinite world. He's revealed in this world on the lowest of levels by literally opening your eyes, and this way you'll be able to have real compassion and a real connection with anyone and everyone, and charity will be very easy to do because you'll see God and godliness in where it's needed. And the Alter Rebbe says, just remember that even though you're willing and ready to help anyone and everyone, but according to Jewish law, family, spouse, wife, children, and again, any other laws where the halacha tells us what comes first. But it's really so beautiful to be able to have the ability to open your eyes and see God in everything in this world.